Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we have another really cool figure to take a look at, and not only that, we've got ourselves another Aulita Heroes figure. This is their Carnotaurus, and I must say, Aulita Heroes continues to impress me with their creativity and just how unique they can make their dinosaurs. We saw how unique the original T-Rex that they had released was, very kind of old school, but at the same time very stylized when it comes to that Aulita Heroes style. Then we had the Styracosaurus, and yet again, an incredible design overall. I thought they did a fantastic job on that one. And now we've got ourselves a Carnotaurus, and as you can clearly see, we have quite the interesting design for the Carnotaurus, and honestly, an extremely cool looking design. And we can definitely see that as far as the meat-eating bull aspect goes, we've got very bull-like horns on this, and I feel like the entire body as a whole has almost a resemblance to like a bull or a bison or something like that, with just how thick and, large it is in the upper body area. It's just, again, really cool the way that they come up with these insanely stylized versions of dinosaurs, and the Carnotaurus absolutely does not disappoint. However, one thing about this one that you might be able to take notice to is the fact that we have a little stand here for it, because the upper body being just so huge kind of limits its ability to stand. I mean, I haven't really tried too many positions. I think maybe we could get it in a tripod position, it might stand, but if you try more of like an accurate position, that upper body is just too huge. It's going to fall on its face, so it's probably best to use the stand that you have here with it to balance out the figure. But again, it is just insane looking here. It's just a super, super cool version of an exaggerated sort of Carnotaurus. So let's go ahead and jump straight to a closer look at this right now. So beginning up here at the head sculpt of our Carnotaurus, you can see straight away we have some nice looking paintwork as well as some nice looking detailing as a whole. We also have some pretty large nostrils on the Carnotaurus, again almost giving it that bull-like look. The visual of it kind of staring us down is so cool. Look at how evil looking that Carnotaurus is. I absolutely, as much as I would love to see a Carnotaurus in real life, I would not want to run into this one. But again, you can see that the eyes, in similar fashion to what we usually see on these Aulita Heroes figures, it's kind of painted with just a lighter tone, a little bit different from what we saw with the Styracosaurus. The Styracosaurus is like a black eye with just a white pupil. This time we have entirely white eyes, it looks like, and it looks really neat. And the darker tones that you often see on these Aulita Hero models really makes those, whiter eyes and the white spots and stuff in the eyes stand out and just, again, add another level, I think, of that sort of evil-looking appearance that they often possess. And I think that looks super, super cool. Again, not only the way it's sculpted out, but also the incredibly impressive appearance as far as just how evil this Carnotaurus looks. But you can again see that the sculpting and detailing throughout, as far as the texturing goes, looks really nice. The detailing as a whole, you can see like the palette, the eye socket, everything is sculpted really nicely. We also have an articulated jaw, as you usually have for the Aulita Heroes figures, and you can see that the entire inside of the mouth looks almost as dark and gritty as what we see through the rest of the model. You can see some pinkish tones there. You can also see the teeth sculpted out, but it genuinely looks like a dirty, kind of a disgusting inside of a mouth for a dinosaur that I would not want to visit, of course, because I'd be dying as he's eating me, but also just because it looks like it would just be, kind of like filled with flesh and previous pieces of, meals and stuff that the Carnotaurus has had. Looks really, really cool as a whole. You can also see that kind of like skin flap there for the inside of the mouth as well. You can see kind of like some ridges here leading off of the lower jaw. You can also see a few ridges here running along the underside of the throat. The throat itself is also nicely elaborated there, and you see more of those ridges as you move down a little further here. A few more on the sides as well, just kind of like bumpy, almost ridge-like osteoderms. There's some nice creasing here that has been sculpted out on the underside, as well as, again, some nice varying tones of color. And that's one thing that is really awesome about these Aulita Heroes models, is just how good the paintwork always is. You always see so many varying tones of color, really nice, really subtle paint application as far as the different tones used. I feel like they have completely perfected their paint jobs. But as you lead up here into the top of the head, you can see like some reddish tones, some reddish brown tones and stuff. Again, some more really, really nice looking skin texture. But as you lead up into the horns, you can see that the horns, again, are very bull-like. Like I had stated earlier, you can also see some incredibly nice looking coloration applied to the horns as you lead out. You have variations of yellows, oranges, reds, browns, all sorts of colors as you lead out toward the tips of the horns. The horns have kind of like imperfections added to it to add, elements of realism and everything. And you can see very, very smooth transitions. The horns just look great, and they stand out so nicely because of the tones of color that have been used on it. And of course, you have that nice curl to the horns, again, giving it that sort of bull-like look. As you lead back here a little bit further into the body, you can see there's some nice looking skin texture, which primarily just includes a lot of really bumpy scales, almost like it's completely coated in osteoderms. But as you move through, you can see some larger ones and stuff poking up here and there, and they continue as you move through the course of the Carnotaurus. Really big, bulky neck for our dinosaur. And the bulkiness of the upper body does not stop there. As you move back to like the shoulder area, you can again see that we just have like a massive hump up here on the back of the Carnotaurus, and you can see more of that same style of detailing as you move through. And you can see more really nice looking paintwork, again, with some nice varying tones of browns. But as you move down, you can see lighter grays. You can also see almost like some reddish or purplish tones of color added throughout. You can kind of make out the side of the stomach leading down here. As you lead into the arms are sculpted pretty nicely. We've got some pretty small arms like you would expect to see on a Carnotaurus. Not that I'm looking for scientific accuracy with an Aulita Heroes model, because that's clearly not what they are meant to be. They're meant to be very, very cool, exaggerated dinosaurs, but you can see again that the arms are nice and small, like you usually see on Carnotaurus. The underside continues to sport some nice detail. You can even get an idea of like muscle definition moving down through the chest of the underside here of the Carno. And as you lead back up here, you again have just a plethora of those bumps, those kind of like ridge-like osteoderms here moving along the back of the dinosaur. Some creasing here as you move down toward the hip region of the dinosaur. And then as you move down, you also have some nice muscle definition shown off, a few more of those kind of, osteoderms and stuff. And you can see as we move it here, just look at the really nice coloration added to it. There's just so much really, really super subtle color variation applied to these. It's crazy impressive. I think you really can't appreciate just how nice these are unless you see the figures in hand in person, as far as the sheer amount of paintwork that has been added. As you move down, you can see all the different articulated joints of the Carnotaurus, and this Carnotaurus is definitely super articulated. There are a lot of different areas of articulation as you move through the course of the figure. In fact, if we start up here at the head, you again have the articulated jaw like we had already mentioned. We have this spot of articulation here in the head, and you can get some nice range of movement with this. Again, you can go up, down, left, right, all over the place, really smooth. As you move down a little further, you've got a spot right here, another little kind of floating area right here, but then you also have a spot in the midsection here of the Carnotaurus, which allows you to again turn the body very nicely, very smoothly, pretty much any option and any possibility you would want. You also have arm articulation, which is currently a little stiff, but it definitely moves. Let's see if we can move this one. Yeah, there we go. We can move that one a little bit better, and you can also move them out away from the body a little bit. And then as you continue to move down, you of course have hip articulation, which is very plain to see. And then moving down, you've also got knee articulation, and that actually articulates above and below the kneecap, which you can see there. And then moving down a little further, you've got a spot right here, and then a spot down here in the ankle as well. And again, these articulated joints can swivel, so you have quite a bit of range of movement in the body of the Carnotaurus. And then that continues, of course, as you move out here into the tail. We do have a very short tail for the Carnotaurus compared to what you would usually see on a Carno. But again, the Aulita Heroes design here has given it that short tail, kind of again giving it almost like a bull-like look. So obviously there's some major bull influence in this meat-eating bull. But you can also see again that we've got articulation right there, right here, and right here, which allows you to kind of display the tail again, turn the tail pretty much whatever way you would like, and it all works really quite nicely, really smoothly. And you have more nice, again, texturing, more nice paintwork as you lead out there into that tail. The underside as well sports some more nice looking paint and sculpt. So this Carnotaurus is about as awesome as it gets when it comes to an exaggerated Carnotaurus. I don't know if I've ever seen a Carnotaurus design as unique as this and as honestly awesome as this. Really, really nice work yet again on the part of Aulita Heroes. And again, we also have this little stand here that you use to hold the Carnotaurus up, because again, with that massive upper body, I feel like there was pretty much no way to really get it to stand entirely on its own. So the addition of this little peg-like stand to hold it up is definitely a nice touch on the part of Aulita Heroes as well. Now, I'm wondering if we go full-blown tripod position with the Carno, will it stand? I don't know, because again, that is a massive upper body. I'm not sure what's going to happen. Okay, so yeah, we got it to stand. It's super, super upright, but it can stand, again, bipedally if you position it where the tail's touching. And yeah, see, once you start to lean it forward a little bit, I feel like the weight of that upper body is kind of going to overtake the Carnotaurus a little bit much so that it's not going to stand anymore. So yeah, you can get it to stand again, but it's got to be in a pretty upright position for it to actually balance out on its own. Otherwise, if you're going to lean it forward in a more natural sort of a positioning for the Carnotaurus, although there isn't much that's natural about this Carnotaurus, you can see you definitely would need that stand. But as far as a size goes, even though we're a little off center currently, for a length from the tail to the horn, about 9¼ inches, approaching 9½, or about 23½ centimeters. And then for a height in the position it's currently in, around 4¼ inches, or just shy of 11 centimeters. Of course, it could be much taller if you actually position it back up like we had it just before and take a look at it from there, but we're not going to do that. We're going to jump straight to a size comparison instead. There is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, and Robert Muldoon from the Mattel Jurassic World toy line next to our Aulita Heroes. Crazy, crazy Carnotaurus, and you can definitely see, again, he sports a decent size. I'd say he's a good-sized medium figure overall. But what I'm really intrigued to see are some comparisons next to the other Aulita Heroes releases, so let's get to that. So here we've got a comparison with the Aulita Heroes Carnotaurus and Styracosaurus, and what's good about this is it's a very easy way to create a diorama. Since the Carno can't, stand too well on his own, you can apply him to some sort of a fight scene with the Styracosaurus, and it works out pretty well as far as balancing out that front half of the Carnotaurus. But again, they definitely have a pretty nice size, definitely a really nice visual here next to each other. I really do quite like the appearance of these two kind of in mid-battle. But for another comparison, here we've got our Aulita Heroes T-Rex next to the Aulita Heroes Carnotaurus, and you can definitely see the Rex is quite a bit larger. Not much of a comparison in size between the Rex and Carnotaurus, but you can also see when Aulita Heroes creates theropods, you can see such a massive difference between these two. Like, they don't look similar at all. It doesn't look like they just basically copied attributes of the T-Rex and applied them to the Carnotaurus. They're very different. Everything about them is so different overall, which shows the talent of the sculptor for Aulita Heroes. But they do look really cool together, and I'm pretty sure we could probably create some really cool dioramas here, including the T-Rex and Carnotaurus as well, in whatever crazy universe that these Aulita Hero dinosaurs lived. And again, I'm loving the comparisons between the different Aulita Heroes models just to show the wide array of styles of their dinosaurs, how different they can look, but yet at the same time they all look like they're part of that same universe, that same very eerie sort of a Mesozoic era. And then for one more comparison, we also have the Velociraptor here, a Mattel Velociraptor next to our Aulita Heroes Carnotaurus, just to give you one more shot here, one more visual of the size, and to maybe help give you an idea roughly of the size of this Carnotaurus. Very different from any other Carnotaurus figure I have in my collection, that is for sure. Like, crazy, crazy different, but still a really cool figure overall. And hopefully this comparison, because the Velociraptor from Mattel is a pretty popular figure that most people have, again, either owned one of or have seen, should help to give you an idea of the size of this Carnotaurus. So this Aulita Heroes Carnotaurus, the Super Articulated Carnotaurus, is really, really cool. Yet again, another fantastic design from Aulita Heroes. I can't even begin to imagine where they get their creativity from, because the ideas that they have for their dinosaurs and the way that they utilize them, it's always so different from everyone else, and it's always so unique. And when they had informed me that they were making a Carnotaurus, I don't know exactly what I was expecting, because I think Aulita Heroes is a little unexpected when it comes to a dinosaur design, because the sculptor, again, has a really cool style to him that when he creates them, they look like they are Aulita Heroes, which makes them very different from everyone else. But honestly, again, I don't know what I was expecting, but I wasn't quite expecting this, and that's not a complaint. That is a huge compliment, because it's such a pleasant surprise to see something so unique and so different. Although I will say I'm surprised that I haven't really seen many people kind of create Carnotaurus in the fashion of a bull before, considering the meat-eating bull name, but they really did kind of take a bull and a Carnotaurus and mix them perfectly for this release. The horns just look so exaggeratedly awesome. I love the curvatures of the horns, again, the very bull-like appearance. The head sculpt overall looks really cool, definitely has that Aulita Heroes feel, and the fine detail as well as the paintwork through the course of not just the head but the entire model is exceptionally well done. There are many different tones of color, many different slight transitions in color, which help to give it a very realistic look as far as the skin tone and overall coloration goes. I also love the brown coloration of the Carnotaurus because, again, that also is kind of like a little nod to a bull and the shorter tail and everything, all bull-like attributes. And then, of course, the texturing throughout looks really nice and unique, and even though they've given the overall appearance of this Carnotaurus a strong resemblance to a bull, they've also added in those elements of Carnotaurus that we know and love, like the osteoderms and stuff through the course of the body, the shorter arms, all of that fun stuff. And again, on top of that, we have tons of articulation, as you always do for an Aulita Heroes release, and all of it works very nicely, very smoothly overall. So as a whole, this is a fantastic Carnotaurus. Not your average Carnotaurus, that is for sure. So if you are on the lookout for an incredibly cool, very stylized, and very articulated version of a Carnotaurus, this is your guy. So I will include a link in the description to where you can purchase this on the Aulita Heroes Etsy shop, and then I will of course include a link as well to the Instagram account of Aulita Heroes where you can follow them and stay up to date on all of the really cool stuff that they are working on. So make sure you check those links, go grab yourself this fantastic Carnotaurus, and make sure you also like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.